Good afternoon and a warm welcome to Google for Education's Emerging Trends in Education webinar series. This session today will focus on ways in which we can connect guardians and schools where parent communication can be automated, customized, and more. On the call today, you have myself, Cedric Pullman. I'm the headmaster of Wynberg Boys Junior School in Cape Town, South Africa. You also have Samuel Efri, the lead facilitator from Tomphonics Academy in Uyo, Nigeria. You will hear from Samuel a bit later. Joining us on the call are content developers Barbara Brand and Karen Walster. You may have already seen Barbara in the chat, so be sure to say hi. As I mentioned, I'm Cedric Pullman from Wynberg Boys Junior in Cape Town. I've been on an incredible journey with Google Apps for Education, which started at my previous school, and I transferred those experiences immediately when I arrived at Wynberg some 6 years ago. We've used Google as a catalyst to transform our communication, our teaching, and our staff development. As with most schools, IT budgets are often constrained, but we've been able to incrementally work from first moving to G Suite to run the administrative functions of the school, then to the acquisition of Chromebooks for teaching and learning, and the implementation of Google Classroom and many other products to excite not only the boys that we teach, but also create an environment where teachers can freely collaborate and develop exciting material. We'd like to give a shout out to our partners, Open Networks, Snaplify Education, and MKB Consulting for what they're doing to bring this series to teachers all across Africa. This is session 7 of a 10-part series where we unpack the 8 emerging trends in education. The series has already covered digital responsibility, computational thinking, life skills and workplace preparation, student-led learning, and collaborative classrooms. Be sure to check out these videos if you have not already seen them. Barbara will drop the link in the chat and you can get past recordings there. Today, though, we focus on connecting guardians and schools. Keeping our students' guardians informed is one of the most important things that the school can do. Schools do not educate on their own. Schools are a complex system with a number of different working parts where people work together to help children be successful. An extremely important component of this system are the parents or guardians of these children. Guardians play a crucial role in a child's education, which means it is imperative that we include them and involve them as much as we possibly can. Critical to this is the need to communicate effectively with the guardians of any child. We need to work together. This quote from Jane Dahl is very appropriate. At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of parents. Jane said this in 2010. She's an American politician and educator. So from this, we can deduce that it is not an issue limited to Africa, but part of a global conversation on how we involve guardians and parents in the teaching of the children. Another quote I'd like to share is, when schools, families, and community groups work together in support of learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. For those of us working in schools, you know that this is absolutely true. There's a direct correlation between success at school and input and engagement with a child's circle of support. Guardians are integral to a child's education. Through involving guardians, they will interact with children more, while we in turn will make them more aware of the child's needs. They will have a better understanding of the teacher's role and the role of which the curriculum plays in the child's education. They will also be more likely to respond to a teacher's request for help. When talking about education, we need to focus on the whole child. This means that the guardian, school, and community needs to work together. Central to all our efforts always needs to be the child. And as we all have a role to play, and an input to make in their development. The three entities surrounding the child cannot be at odds with each other. They all intentionally need to strive to create an environment in which a child can flourish. In this session, though, we're going to get practical and we're going to focus on different tools that you can use in the Google environment to include your guardians. There are many tips and tricks that we want to share with you and that you can use when you go back to class tomorrow. To start out, I'm going to take you through Google Sites and how Google Sites can be used to keep guardians, students, and the school connected. The first site that I'd like to look at is one which was developed at Wynberg Boys Junior School, my very own school, by our boys in relation to their market day. With the COVID pandemic last year, it was impossible to host a traditional market day, and they had to take this online. What was a big problem turned out to be a very, very real learning experience, in that this was the way shopping was being done by their parents, and most of us were beginning to shop online as well if we hadn't prior to this. They were divided into groups and created their own sites. One of these, developed by a group, was called Plantify, where boys planted seedlings in little trays and sold these as mini gardens. They gave the description of what the product was, that the packaging was biodegradable and the like, gave the price and the product code so people could order these online via a system which they developed. Another one of those was a site called Unusually Practical. On this one, they marketed mask hangers and gave the details and the pricing for it and the delivery details. If you clicked on that, it would take you to a Google form. On the Google form, you'd fill out your own details, your name, your son's name, the product you were buying, the class they were in, your telephone number, and then submitted it. And what this would do was populate the spreadsheet with the details of the products which you were buying. So all very, very practical. And as I said, a real experience of how shopping online works. And this was in relation to a need. Another amazing site I want to take you to is that created by one of the people on the call today. And this was for Oribi Hostel at JEPI. What was done here is quite amazing, that the hostel used the site to basically embed calendar and various documents which are used and in very sort of practical ways. Normally you'd have to be printing out daily routines and the like, but here it is on the site. This is where it lives. Very practical. The boys can pull it up on any device on their cell phone and the like. Something that I liked about the Oribi Hostel site as well is they use Google Slides and embedded slides into this. And in this included various documents, daily routines, and the like, where people could access it. So very, very practical way of presenting Google Sites. In the student portal, if you looked at the student portal, many documents are added into this around induction, online learning at JEPI, and the like, some infographics in terms of how to access Google Classroom. And so boys could go here and access the various documents which they required. So sites are very, very powerful in terms of being able to just illustrate how you could use these in sharing information with not only the boys or learners at your school, but with their parents as well. The last site I want to show you was developed by One of other people on the course, and Nadine Lindhorst, and what she did for her class was very similar. Embedded the calendar, which gives the dates for the tests and the like, and some material where parents could go and see what was being done in class. Children could also revise using the lessons which were taught on those on any particular day if they had any difficulties with that. So slides were put onto this, as well as some videos as well, which where key concepts could be revised at home. So some great examples over there. The last site that we want to look at is very relevant to us in that it was developed by Barbara Brand. And so this cohort of teachers on busy doing training with Google are spread across Nigeria and South Africa. And these are all the schools which are linked to that. And all the information from all of the courses that the webinar series that we've been busy doing is contained here. So here we have the video from the first one, and then all the resource information which was shared on that during that webinar. The great thing about this is that you can put everything in one place, whether it be imagery, video, slides, and the like, could all be embedded in one place, which makes it really, really useful, almost a repository of information where you could go and find things even after we were done with the webinars. So that's really, really great. As I was saying earlier, you've got to almost view sites as a window into your school, a virtual window where parents can have a look in terms of what is happening in your class. Guardians can find it very, very useful to track what's going on at school and just what the mood of the school is at any given time through what is contained on your site. The next thing we want to look at is email communication. Email is probably the most commonly used way that we communicate with our parents. And there are some tips and tricks which we could use to communicate better and to do this more effectively. One which we want to look at today is to use email templates. Now, templates, they are a really useful feature which you can use your mail in your mailbox. You can set preset templates of text, and the body of the mail can be pre-prepared, and you could use this to respond to people if queries of a common nature were brought up and came up all the time. There could be a common response. So your secretaries or administrative task could do a template which says something to the effect of your query will be directed appropriately and you will be contacted within the next day or two. So that kind of thing, that's just the way that one could use templates. I'm going to do a little demonstration. Let me jump over to my emails over here to demonstrate how we use templates in Gmail. So firstly, I would have to activate templates. To do that, I go to settings, and in my settings, I go to see all settings. At see all settings, I'm going to have to go to advanced. In advanced, it gives you auto advanced, and there's templates. I've enabled templates already. You'd have to do that. And then importantly, save changes. Once you have that saved, we can now go and compose a template. To do this, I would open an email as I regularly would do. What I have done is I have some pre-prepared text over here, which I'm just going to copy. And I'm going to go back to this email over here. So I'm going to paste that pre-prepared text, and I'm going to give it the subject related to a sports day. sports day information. Now what I'm going to do is come down to the three dots over here, more options, click on that three dots, go up to templates and save draft as template. Save as new template, sports day information, save. I can now exit this. And if I went to my inbox and I went to compose an email, if I went back to the more options, templates, sports day information, there it is, pre-populated as a mail. I can change the details as I need to, and I can send that off to anybody that I chose to send. And there we have it, how to set up a template in Gmail. What we now want to do is to go over to the Google Marketplace. Now, there's some extended functionality which one can use in the Google environment, which is available in the Google Marketplace. You've got to think of the marketplace of like an online shop where you can get some, where developers have developed some products which can enhance the functionality of Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Google Slides. So what I want to do today is just look at some of these ones which you can use when using templates, and particularly merge functionality. So there are more than one of them that you could possibly use. Autocrat is a great one. I've used this one very successfully to send out reports and the like. What Autocrat does is take information off spreadsheets, and you can use that to populate docs and PDFs and then send that out. Yet another mail merge is a really good one, very popular, to be able to send out bulk mails, but you can personalize every one of those mails through information which is also contained on a spreadsheet. Another one which is great is Document Studio, where you can use Document Studio to create certificates and the like, taking information off of Google Sheets or Google Forms. And the merge in there will help you populate these documents as well off of Google Sheets. The one that we're going to focus on today is just looking at how to use yet another mail merge, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how that one works. So the first thing you'd have to do is, as I said, most of the merge functionality would happen off of a spreadsheet, and you'd have some information on a spreadsheet. So remember earlier I spoke of a sports day, and we set up a template for that in my mailbox. What I've done here is we've got a spreadsheet. On that spreadsheet, it says email address, name, child's name, activity 1, activity 2, 3, time, additional information. So anything related to the sports, everything related to the sports day, I've put on a spreadsheet here, parents' email addresses and the like. Critical with when using mail merge is to get the header bar correct, so that it is going to populate your template using the information contained in there. What I'm going to do is go to add-ons. So remember I spoke about the Google Marketplace. That is where I would find this add-ons, and I'm going to say get add-ons. When I say get add-ons, it's going to open the Google Marketplace here. And I can search for anything that I want. The one that we want is yet another mail merge. Here we have it. And if you clicked on yet another mail merge, it would open it. And you would have to install. I have it installed already. And so I'm going to leave this and go back to my add-ons. At add-ons, if I clicked on yet another mail merge, start mail merge, it's going to merge this information onto a template or into a template which I need to choose. So it's loading yet another mail merge, YAM for short. There is a personal plan for 1,500 emails a day, which you could purchase. We're busy using the one which gives us 50 free emails. I've used 5 already today. And that's adequate for a class. Continue. The sender's name you can put there. And it's now asking me which email template is it that I want to use. This has identified email templates in my email box. And there we have it, sports day information. That's the one that we created, isn't it? So I'm going to ask it to track the emails, and I'm going to say send emails. So what this is now doing is taking the information contained in the email address column, which we have over here, and sending it to that. It's used other information to populate the template. I'm going to say close, and what we have is a column which has been created where it says email sent. It is time-stamped when that email was sent to that particular parent. It's created a bar down the side here, which will tell me which emails have been opened, clicked on, responded to, bounced, and where it is unsubscribed. But what I'd like to show you now is if we went to our mailbox over here, and we went to our sent items. In the sent items, there we have it. Sports day information to the 5 parents. And if I clicked on Joanne, and it says, Dear Joanne, thank you so much for your email. It speaks of her child, Michael. It says what events he's going to be partaking in, and it gives some personal information around how excited Michael was. That information is contained over here on the spreadsheet. So Joanne, Michael, and which events he's going to partake, and it indicates that we've opened that email. So very, very cool functionality in yet another mail merge. I'm going to go back over here. So just to remember, many merge add-ons that you can find in the marketplace, and you just need to go there and see what functionality you require. Before I hand over to Samuel, I want to show you a few tips using Google Calendar. Now, Google Calendar is very, very effective in scheduling meetings or conferences with parents or guardians. You can do this in the beginning of the term, in the beginning of the year, allocate times for them so that you know exactly when it is that you're going to be meeting with them, dedicating time to this, sort of helps develop the relationship, gets you speaking to parents. And I think, if you're engaging with parents, you're going to ease any issues that may develop, and you can raise concerns with them if necessary. I'm going to do some appointment slots with you, which one of my teachers said is really life-changing if you use these effectively. So I'm going to go over to my email box, to my calendar rather, sorry, we were in emails. And when I'm in my calendar over here, what I'd like to do is, for example, I've got some time which I want to dedicate to meeting with parents, and it's Friday afternoon, school closes slightly earlier. I'm going to say, I want to create appointment slots for parents to come and see me on a Friday afternoon. So when I click on any event or in a slot on my calendar, it will open. There's a possibility to indicate an event, or I can say I'm out of office for that time. I could also determine what tasks I want to do there, or I could set a reminder, right? What we're going to do today is use the appointment slot function, which is at the end there, and I'm going to say guardian meeting. Guardian meetings is what I'm going to do there in appointment slots, and I'm going to say that I have 3 hours on a Friday afternoon. Seems about fair, hey? So 3 hours from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and I'm going to dedicate 20 minutes to every parent who wants to see me. and I can set that over here. Once that is set, I'm going to save it. And there we go. I've got that time dedicated to these appointment slots. But if I now opened it, it gives me the globe over there, which indicates that this is actually available on the web. So I go to appointment for this page, and there we have 20-minute slots over that 3-hour period. This calendar, all that parents will see, if I send them the link for this calendar, is the available slots. They can click and choose when it is that they can see me. When they click, what it will do is put their name into the slot which they choose, which is very useful. Right? They would then save it. And what this would do is not only save on this calendar, but if I go and view on my own Google Calendar, taking us back, there it says Guardian meeting with Cedric Pullman. And as I said, if somebody from externally had chosen that, what to do is indicate their name there. So really, really great way of setting up meeting slots where parents do that, and you don't need to be struggling with little bits of paper to determine how and when they are going to be coming to see you. So another tip that I'd like to share with you about calendar is in this instance here at parent conference. If I clicked on the parent conference and I want to determine I've invited 7 people to this meeting, and I can have a look here and see that some have indicated that they were going to attend and others not. I could engage them directly by going to email the guests up here. Email guests, we're waiting for 3 of them have said yes, 3 we are waiting a response from, and I could send a copy for myself. Let's only engage the people we are waiting a response from, and we could go and say, please don't forget to respond. Very simply. And I could send it. So really, what we're doing here is sending an email directly from the calendar to the persons that we want to send the email to. So another just a great function contained within calendar. If I went back to this Guardian meeting over here, and or let's, if I went to that one, which was set where that I said earlier, and I went to edit event over there. If I knew this parent was coming to see me, and it was Michael's dad or whoever it may be, what I could do is go over here to attachments, and I could attach, for example, a report or anything related to the boy, or a form for feedback, or if it was a report, I could attach it over there and add description and say, please see report for discussion at meeting, and say that, and that would be contained within the calendar for him as well when he opened, or he'd get an alert about that event in there. So another great function contained within calendar. Appointment slots. So really, I'm now going to hand over to Samuel Effrey as he takes you through some other great tips that you can use to keep guardians connected in your schools. Thank you very much. Over to you, Samuel.
Thank you so much, Cedric. Wow, so many great tips shared so far. Keeping guardians in the loop will have such an impact on the school. And I am excited to share some other ways you can connect and continue to connect with them. Schools and guardians need to build relationships that focus on trust. In some of the earlier webinars in this series, it was discussed how important it is to involve the student in the decision making process. And the conversation includes guardians. Successful education is all about collaboration between guardians, schools, and the community. Hence, we need to come together and work hand in hand with each other. We cannot do this alone. We are now going to have a look at how you can keep connected with Guardian straight from Google Classroom using a feature called Guardian Summaries. A teacher or school administrator can invite a guardian to receive email summaries about their students' work in class. To get summaries, the student must use Classroom with a Google Workspace account. These email summaries do not include grades. The Guardian summaries include the following. Number one, we have the missing work. Missing work is any work that was not turned in by the student when the summary was sent. This will be shown in the email. You can also see an upcoming work. An upcoming work indicates that the student has work that is due today, tomorrow, or in the upcoming week. It will also be included in the mail. And here we also have what is called the class activity. This includes announcements that the teacher makes, assignments, and questions recently posted by the teachers of the class. Guardian summaries are emails only, just email, nothing else. When a guardian signs up for email summaries, they do not get access to the classroom itself. In fact, they can see the classroom. When I talk about the overall interface of the classroom, the classroom stream, the classwork tab, the people in the class, not the grades. They will only get an email, just an email, and that gives them a look into what is happening and what their child is working on. But before you get started with Guardian summaries, it has to be enabled in the admin console. If you do not have this feature available for you to use in your Google Classroom, be sure to contact your Google Admin Console administrator and ask them to turn it on. This needs to be communicated to the whole school. Though you will understand why this needs to be communicated to the whole school in a minute. So follow me as I show you on how this works. I'm gonna move over to my Google Classroom. Okay. Here is many of us we use the Google Classroom. Here is an interface of the Google Classroom. Okay, I talked about the interface. You have the stream, you have the classwork, you have people, and you have grades. Here, this is how a Google Classroom interface looks like. Okay, you want to bring on the guidance summaries. First, you need to go to your settings. When you click on your settings, here you have your class details, okay, and you have general. Just scroll down, then you get to see where we have guardian summaries. Okay, here is the toggle where you need to put it on. Okay, I'm going to put this on. uh, Add class to guardian email summaries. Okay, guardians receive a summary of their students work and class announcement. Before I add, okay, let me add the class, but let me get to show you an example of how the Guardian summaries look like. Okay, here you go. It's loading. Okay, remember I said a teacher or school administrator can invite a guardian to receive email summaries about their students' work in class. Okay, now make sure that the student must use a classroom with a Google Workspace account. If you're using a personal one that isn't a Google Workspace account, you may not get the feature. Okay, so I've talked about what's included in an email summary. I mentioned the missing work, the upcoming work, the class activity. Okay, I'm going to show that to you in some seconds. Okay, and how do guardians get summary? A teacher or admin sends an invitation to the guardian. After the guardian accepts the invitation, they choose when to get the email summaries for each of their students. Okay, let's see how the summary look like when a guardian gets the summary. Okay, now here is the Google Classroom. Remember, I said that when Guardian gets summaries, they don't get to see the overall interface of the Google Classroom. Okay, yeah, the Google Classroom, and this is a weekly summary for Felix. Okay, from August 1st to August 5th, 2016. Okay, I said there are three things you need to look out: missing work, right? Yeah, yeah, the missing work, missing from last week. US summary due July 26th. Okay, and you also have upcoming work, right? This is due for next week. And you also have class activity. Remember, I said class activity can come in form of assignment or announcement. Okay, and here you have the assignment, the price of free speech reading. Okay, this is an example of a mail a parent, the guardian will get to see. So let's move over to Google Classroom. Okay, so it's brought on. Okay, after this is on, you save. Okay, once you're done saving, you move over to the feature for people. Okay, here you have people, and automatically you get to see this feature because you brought it on, in the settings. So you click on invite guardians, and here is what pops up. Okay, I'm going to be inviting a guardian. You type a name or email, so I'm going to be inviting this. Okay, yeah, so we have this, then click on it, then invite. So here you go. This guardian has been invited, and the guardian will have to get to see an email talking about, oh, you have been invited to see. Now, this is the email that the guardians will get. It will show that you have invited them to be a guardian, and they will need to choose to accept it or not. They will get a second screen pop up to show which account they are in, and we need to choose to accept again. Once they have done this, they would then get to choose how often they would like to receive emails from Google Classroom. That's interesting, right? So they can choose either they want it weekly or daily, or they don't want to get emails at all. Now, they are able to customize this at any point from the link that they receive in the mails from Google Classroom. But take note of this: guidance won't get an email if there is no activity to report for the given time period, or all their students teachers turn off notifications for their classes, or they accepted the invitation but chose not to get any summaries. They would also not get an email if they aren't connected to any students in the classroom. Okay, that is that about the Guardian summaries. Now we're gonna move on to another top feature that I would like to share with you all. Now this one includes a very handy Google Sheet template that is available to you. Now this template lets you pull up individual student reports, which helps you prepare really well for your Guardian conferences. Okay, let me show you how the template look like. Okay, I'm going to take you over to my Google Classroom. Now on my waffle, I'm going to be using the Google Sheets. Okay, let me click on this. Yes, it's loading. Now, this is the interface, the landing page of how a Google Sheet look like. So if you haven't been using the Google Sheet, now this is how the interface, the landing page looks like. Okay, over here you have the blank. Okay, if you want to start up a new sheet, a new spreadsheet. But for me, I don't think I would actually want to start off something. Yeah, I don't like wasting my time. So there are templates. Yeah, lots of templates. Yes, so you can see attendance template. You have gradebook. Now this is for education. um, you can see personal spreadsheet. You have a to-do list. You have an annual budget. You have a monthly budget. You have calendars. Even for work, yes, you have an invoice spreadsheet. You have a weekly timesheet. Okay, and yeah, just scroll down. You get to see several templates you can use on Google Sheets. But for the purpose of this presentation, we will be using Gradebook. You can see Gradebook, but I already have one for us here. Now, this is the interface, or this is how a Gradebook look like. Okay, now here are the three things you need to look out for when you are using the Gradebook. Firstly, you have an overview. Then you have another tab, the grades, and you have the individual report. Now, the first page I'm having here, it's called the overview. Now, in the overview, you get to see the grading system, you get to see the grade distribution, you get to see the average scores. Now, let me explain what you're having over here. Now, the grading system gets to compile the results, the grades of all the students in your classroom. Now, you can see from the grading system, you have the marks are actually formulated. Okay, we have for those that would score between 97 and 100, will the system automatically grades them as an A plus. Okay, and those that scores between 93 to 96, it's automatically calculated or graded as an A. That goes to 0 to 59, that's an F. Wow. Okay, so and once these things are graded automatically by this Google Sheet, by the gradebook, then the grade distribution, you do not need to draw the chart. Okay, automatically the chart, they get to align, they get to align. This has already been made and prepared for the purpose of this class. Okay, let's look at the grade. Now, when you move to grade, grade actually show where you have the subject and you have the scores for each subject, where you get to put in the subject, the values of what the children or your student actually get in the classroom. Okay, here's a class. Okay, there's an assignment where we have the baseline structures, the structural components, the case study, and you have over 7 for baseline structures. You have structural component over 5, case study over 10, bridge evaluation over 20. And mind you, whatsoever values you put shouldn't actually go over the total you have for each of these. Remember, I said these things are programmed. Okay, whatsoever you put is what it's how that's how you get the result. Okay, so you have the class average. Okay, these are the names of the students in this class. Okay, you have Adam Smith, you have Sarah, you have Tabo, you have Katie. Okay, so let's just do something practical. Okay, so I have 4 here for Adam. Okay, remember the total, it's over 7. So let's say I have to put 5. Okay, and for structural component is over 5, and I'm giving him a 5. Yes, a 5. Then case study, I'm giving him a 7. Um, let's move over to Katie. Katie has excuse me. Katie has let's say 4. Then she has a structural component. I give her 2. Take note of what we are having. Take note of this the values here. Okay. Now by the time I'm done, check out this. Remember, she have a C plus, right? There's a C plus. Okay, I have 11 here. Then when I move over to Kelly, you can see she had an F. So whatsoever values you get to put in any of these, automatically the grading system gets to, it calculates itself automatically. Okay, now you want, this is for the entire class, the students in the classroom. You want to pull out the individual report. Okay, you move over to individual report, and you pick a student, and from the when you pick a student, you get to see the class average of this particular class, and you get to see the student average. So let's check that of Adam. Yes, this is Adam. Okay, mind you, when you come, you see yes, a drop off here. So when you click on it, you have the names of the students in your classroom. So I click on Adam. So Adam has the class average here is C. Yeah, C. Adam, the student average, that the average for Adam is a D. Adam has a D, and 60% out of 76%. Wow. Then for baseline structure, then you get to also see the subject average. So we have 71% for baseline structure, then 100% for structural component, and case studies 70%. And the interesting thing about this is, whilst you still having, the values, the digits for these their scores, you can also see a chart stating how their scores look like. Wow, this is wonderful, right? And by the time you're done for your total student, the class, you can also get to see how it's being distributed. The average scores for baseline structures, you have 5.0 for structural component, the case study, and all this automatically, grade itself now via from the Google Sheet, from your grade book. That's interesting, right? Yes, what is really great is that you can use this graph in many other places. You don't only have to see and visualize a graph within a spreadsheet. No, 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 no. Now, Google has actually made this available for you. Now, in the Google environment, yes, you do things once and then it links to other location. I'm going to show that to you. For example, in the screenshots to the right, you can see how a graph has been added to a document, right? Now, this is really helpful if you're writing up student report, or if you need to showcase to your school how a student is doing and you want to back it up with empirical evidence. Let's have a look on how this is done. Good. I will be using my Google document. Okay. Here is a report on a student from my class. Okay. So I want to show this to parent. Okay. Here you have the 4 assessments that were conducted. Baseline assessment out of 7, structural component that's out of 5, in case study out of 10, then bridge evaluation out of 20. Okay. Let's get to see. This is for Keddy. Okay. This is for Keddy. And remember from your grading, the the grade book we looked at the grading system, we looked at the grade distribution and the average score. So you move over to this place. Let's see the document, how it's been aligned. So I have the types of assessment. I have assessment average scores, and I have the grade distribution based on average scores, and I have the top learner in technology for the grade 7 for this term. So I would have to, let's look at assessment average. So when I click on it, okay, it takes me straight up to assessment average scores. And remember I said that one thing about the Google environment is everything is linked, right? So I have my cursor here. So I move on to insert. Now from insert, I move on to chart. I have the bar, the dot column, line, pie. I don't want to start from the beginning. So instead you go to from sheets. So click from sheet, and this is what pops up. Okay, it's loading from sheet. Okay, now the last sheet or spreadsheet or the last document you've done is what you get to see. So here's my grade book. So when I double click on it, okay, I need to import the chart. This is my assessment average score. So when I click on this, please take note of the how it looks like. You can see there is actually a feature here, link to spreadsheet, right? Link to spreadsheet. So it's already been ticked here. So when I import, here you have it, right? Yes. Now this is what you have done from your Google Sheets. Now coming to your, what you want to show the parent. Okay, so and one thing about the Google environment is, let me show you something. Okay, let's move over to my grade book. Now that is for, okay, whatsoever you do here, I'm going to go back to grade. Whatsoever you do here, if you get to change the values, okay, let's change the values. If you get to change the values of the scores rather, okay, I'm going to just pick at random. This is let's say 1. Okay, yeah, this is 5. And lastly, this is I don't want to be a wicked teacher. Let me just give 2. Okay, so whatsoever you do here, automatically, Remember I said it gets to change. And for the fact that it is changing on the spreadsheet, let's move over to the report. There's something you need to check out. Look at it, shows update, because when you change a value from the grade from the sheet, it also changes, okay, here too. So when it changes here, you just click on update. Okay, let's see. Yes, it's updated already. So it's updated already. Now, same thing you also do for your grade distribution. Click on your grade distribution. Yeah, it moves to your grade distribution. The same process. You move on to insert, from insert to your chart, then from sheet. Okay, double click. Okay, this is the grade. Okay, the sheet. Okay, here you go. Import. Okay, okay, sorry. Okay, comes up here. Now this for KD. Take note that whatsoever you do here, and the name of the child that you want to import to your report sheet is what is actually where your grade book is on. So I want to go to top learner in technology. Yes, I have it here. And same process, insert from sheet. Okay, double click. Okay, and this for KD. Then you import. Yes. And don't forget that if you get to change the values from your Google Sheet, it also changes there. Thank you for being here with me. I hope you did follow me through on ways in which you can stay connected with your guidance. That's interesting. I'm going to hand it back to Cedric now for him to wrap up the session. Over to you, Cedric.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I'm always with Google Sheets. I use Sheets to curated playlist with the topic Tech Toolkit for Families and Guardians. Here, you will find videos on accessibility, Chromebooks, security, Be Internet Awesome, family links, and more. They are videos that have been especially made for parents and guardians, and the links will be in the resource pack. If there's anything that you need to take away from the session, let it be that education is an integrated network where there are many components working together to ensure that we reach the whole child. Remember the quote from earlier? Remember that when schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. Barbara is going to drop the link to the resource pack in the chat, and the links will help you along the way. Please don't forget to give us some feedback by filling out the form. Barbara will put that link in the chat for us as well. Thank you to everyone who was on the call and those of you behind the scenes that may not have been mentioned. You have Katie, Kay, Adiola, and Joseph all backstage in StreamYard, ensuring that things go smoothly. A big shout out and a thank you to all of them for everything that they have done to make this a success. And lastly, thank you to you all for being here live and those who may watch this later. We hope that you've enjoyed the session. We look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time for webinar 8 on innovating pedagogy. Thank you and goodbye.